Welcome back to Unrolled, where this week anxiety is running high in the workshop as we hand-piece together a one-off Land Cruiser, we chat all things Formula One news, and we get a brand new toy for the workshop. There has been hours and hours of painstaking work in these panels, as you've probably seen in previous Unrolled episodes, and if you haven't, check it out up in this corner. There's a lot of work going on, and you have been, well, I don't know,
it's been anxiety-inducing the whole way through the process, man. I'll tell you what, as the guys saw in that previous episode, the car looks beautiful, but I am terrified of scratching this thing.
Yeah.
So we've been taking it slow and taking it cautious, but I'll tell you what, it looks awesome.
It does.
And I reckon it's high time that everybody got to see what it looks like.
Yep, show the people. Behind me is my second favourite Land Cruiser in the country. That's right, second favourite. This is, of course, our 500 horsepower LS swapped, fully restored FJ40. And, well, the last time you guys would have seen it, it was just a whole bunch of very pretty panels on a whole bunch of pallet stands. And now, well, as you can see, it's coming together beautifully. I'd still stand by the fact I reckon this is the nicest FJ in the country, because there are some really terrible ones out there, and this is looking $1 million. Now, one person that wasn't as lucky as me is this guy, because I didn't get my hands dirty, but James has been painstakingly hand assembling this extremely expensive jigsaw puzzle. And well, mate, your work is really paying off because this thing is looking fantastic.
Yeah, it's looking good, huh? Berliner Bodyworks did a beautiful job of it.
How good is it?
Probably the scariest part of the whole thing is having to handle these things that have been painted gorgeously.
Oh, that's right, and especially these panels, because so many of them weren't straight, had rust, needed a lot of fixing.
I don't think there was a single panel actually on this car that didn't require some sort of attention, be it rust holes or be it having hit a tree a couple of times in its life on the farm.
Yeah, that's right, more than a couple of times. This thing was way rougher than we first anticipated when we got it. James, run us through what's gone into piecing this FJ together.
Mate, like we said, handling things like this, where Berliner Bodyworks has put a lot of time and effort into it, everything looks $1 million. Number one thing, don't scratch it, right? It seems really obvious, but when you're assembling it, we use painter's tape on all the edges. Even if you don't think you have to, we take the 2 minutes to put tape there.
That's right.
It doesn't hurt to do it, but you'll hate yourself that one time you slip and you scratch it, because it's game over. You can't.
The 2 minutes of work with the tape can save you a whole lot of heartache.
That's it. And with the painter's tape, especially with fresh paint, I like to stick it to my pants and then pull it off just to remove some of the adhesion.
Yeah, okay.
So it'll still stick and everything like that, but there's just less chance it's going to take anything off when you pull it off.
Good tip.
I mean, Berliner Bodyworks, they're not going to paint something improperly, but if you're like me and you paint stuff at home, doing that can be the difference between pulling off your poorly prepped paint or it's staying there and looking okay. Another thing with the FJ, a lot of the screws, namely the ones that hold the doors and the windscreen panel and all that on, are Phillips heads. Which is not something you see that often. Usually they're on more agricultural vehicles like this though. We're going to the effort of clocking all those screws. So that just refers to having all the Phillips head crosses in the same plane, so it looks uniform, which is a little bit tedious. There's a couple of ways you can go about it. Some people like to just either over tighten or under tighten the screws so that they line up. I don't really like that. No. Personally, I think the way to have it is wash underneath each one, as the car has anyway. And then I like to use a whetstone or a grindstone, like a knife sharpening stone that you get from Bunnings. Something like that. And it does take a while, but rubbing the washers on that, you can remove a couple of thousandths of a mil each time and just keep going and keep going until you tighten it up in the right spot, and that way everything's clamped properly, but they're clocked.
It's these sorts of details that do set this car apart, because don't get us wrong, the panels are amazing and we could have just slapped it together really quickly, all the hardware on there, but it's the little details like that that are just going to set this thing apart when it's finished. Another thing, James, that's taken this build to that next level is having access to all those reproduction and actually new old stock Toyota parts that Mr. Land Cruiser have been able to source for us.
100%. I mean, we're lucky enough that FJ40s are really popular vehicles, so
hugely popular.
People like Mr. Land Cruiser do cater to these things. So obviously one of the hardest parts of a resto is having all those little knickknacks that cars require.
That's right.
The strikers for the bonnet, the rubbers for the bonnet, the gaskets for the roof turret to the back section.
Just
all those little things.
You know, even down to the hardware, some of the hardware we were getting from them. Door strikers, the latches on the vehicle, even down to those little kick panels that are effectively your only form of aircon in these old cars. You can get all the new springs for that and even the seals for those. Just
made for the cars. It's brilliant. I swear you could restore an FJ40 just off the stuff he sells.
Good.
We got it all brand spankers from Mr. Land Cruiser. I'll tell you what, Paul and Brittany up there in Queensland have been awesome to deal with. I couldn't thank them enough.
Killing it.
And they're always happy to help. They're always full of advice. So always a pleasure to deal with those guys. And really, this build would have been a lot harder had we not had them on hand.
I don't even want to picture.
Obviously, Sam, but with a resto like this, with everything looking great, new gaskets, new bolts, all that sort of deal. Whenever you leave something untouched, it becomes really obvious.
Very much so.
I mean, when a car's not a full resto, it's easy to not touch certain things, but something like this, if we were to leave one stern unturned, you'd notice.
Yeah, you'd
so,
stand out.
Best example, I think, the door strikers on there, which we got from Mr. Land Cruiser. Obviously, they're zinc plated and brand spanking new.
They look great.
If we had left those, the original ones, even cleaned up, you'd be able to tell as soon as you open the door, you'd see it. And I think this is no more evident than with glass, because it's one of the things you spend most of the time looking at. So if this had the old windscreen in there, we could have cleaned it up, but you'd look through it, you'd see the flecks and the marks and the wear. You couldn't make it perfect. So we've gone to the effort of having all the glass recut, bar the curved quarter windows, which we got great secondary replacements from Mr. Land Cruiser for.
They look brand new.
Yeah, but the rest of them, all brand spanking. We made up some templates, had them cut, so every single paint on this is going to be like new or new.
Fantastic. Well, we have got a host more things to show you guys on this FJ. We've barely even scratched the surface of the intricacies and the customized bits of this build. Now I want to throw to you guys, if there's any specific element of this build, be it the engine, what diffs we've gone with, that kind of thing, leave a comment below, and I reckon we could probably put it in a video and touch on those specific elements that you guys want to see. Otherwise, we've got a stack more coming in the future week, so there's one thing for you to do. Stay tuned. Formula One. The news this week is all Formula One, because there's a lot of news to talk about.
100%, mate. I think besides the race on the weekend,
yes, controversial.
Number one, the new car.
Oh, this is going to spark
2022's F1
It's
rig.
looking like a dark era in motorsport, isn't it?
Mate, I swear every person there when they unveiled that car had to have been told to like that.
It's just,
I mean,
it was a whole bunch of really rich dudes fake smiling at a relatively ugly Formula One car. Let's be honest.
The 18-inch wheel, we've touched on it before.
We have.
But now we've seen it in the flesh, how it's going to be ran.
Yeah.
Not a fan. And another thing too, the weird polymorphic sort of wrap they put on that car.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know.
In the display video, in the sort of release video, they put this weird holographic print on it. And then we saw it with them all standing around it again, looking kind of odd. Doesn't look like there's DRS on the new rear wing. It's definitely an old tech looking rear wing, that's for sure. And there's so much less aero, so many less canards all around the body of the car too.
I don't think it's a desperately good looking car.
No.
Not that Formula Ones have previously been good looking, but I wouldn't call them ugly. I would call this one ugly.
Yeah, it's definitely different. And I think what they've told people, or at least they've told the public, is that it's for closer racing and a bit more aggressive, and sort of take a step back and make it more for the people.
Well, I do like the lack of DRS for that reason. I've never seen the point in having DRS. I like good racing, so I won't miss that.
Speaking of good racing, there wasn't a lot of it last weekend's race. There was one extremely bad racing moment, which of course, who else would it involve? It'd be Hamilton, and it's going to be obviously Verstappen. Now, they've been going tooth and nail to get the championship. Verstappen has edged Hamilton pretty much out of contention.
I think he's got it clinched
for this year's drivers' championship. But there was one corner, we've all seen the footage. It's on the screen now, where Hamilton had the inside line. Verstappen was just, a wing in front of him on the outside. It's hard. You guys have got to watch it.
I've heard a bunch of opinions on who's at fault here. I don't know what I think. You guys let us know who you think was responsible for this accident, because I can see both points of view on this.
Yeah, big time. I don't think Hamilton's necessarily in the wrong. He was in the inside and was moving quick.
But
it's hard.
Now that's the end of the news segment for this week, but the next segment is sort of news.
Oh, yeah, big news for us. Big news for probably our boss that's watching this. We've got a new toy down here. Efficiency
it's like Christmas.
Is gone. Workload out the window. As soon as this thing arrived at the doorstep, we dropped tools down and set it up. And it's proven a hoot so far. We've got a stack more content coming up around this new, let's call it an investment in the workshop, which is going to be exciting. We've got a whole lot of challenges. We've got a whole lot of people that can and can't drive cars quickly. I think it's going to be pretty fun.
Mate, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a blast.
Yeah.
I'm keen to see how much fun we have with this thing.
Show the people.
Fair enough. If there's one thing every good workshop needs, it's a quality sim for those days when you finish off work and you want to have a bit of a go with the lads. Now, we've had a Thrustmaster one set up here for about 4 years and it's served us pretty well, but lately it's been pausing on its own, pushing buttons on its own, doing whatever it feels like. And when we really use it, it starts to smell like electrical fire, which is always a little concerning. Just yesterday, something fell out of it when we're using it, so it's time for upgrades.
Upgrades, people, upgrades.
I've got in front of me some Fanatec driving simulator gear. And there's one thing that means for us here at Sparesbox, there's no work getting done after today. Oh my God.
Oh, shit. See that, tell you what,
I'm a big kid.
about as much fun as you can have with your pants on. We should take ours off.
We don't have to use.
Oh, this is the piece.
Don't bother with real cars. This is better.
You know what I like about the simulator is you can press the button and it's always going to work. Every car I own is always a get. Is this Alcantara? Almost. Sick.
Oh,
Sick.
look at that. More stickers.
We're going to have to start thinking about what we're going to put these on. Elvis's face, maybe. Did you see the car he just pulled?
I don't think he saw the car.
Stevie Wonder would have liked to see this.
So our editor here, Elvis, has just picked up the new car, the new project. What is it?
All right, so I've got a Suzuki Sierra, 1990s, 1.3 litre.
It's a little rough around the edges and needs
Needs a warm hug from Mum.
needs a lot of help, not gonna lie.
Just use my trusty
Just
key.
get the key out. Yeah, mint. Get this bad boy.
Look, see, I'm learning already. You know, this cardboard's actually really handy. I can use it to mix my bog.
Don't use cardboard to mix bogs, folks.
It's a boy! Okay.
Oh no, we have to do work.
Nah, we don't read instructions. Remember when we throw those out? Yep. We've got 3 pedals, and these come with a load cell, which is exciting. So the current Thrustmaster, they're all effectively switches, whereas this has got a proper load cell in it. So, oh, here comes the good stuff. You know what's good when it comes in a bag? Just look.
Oh my lord.
Yes. Oh my god. The load cells, you got the springs, so it's going to feel like a proper. Oh mate.
Does it?
Oh
Yeah. Fully adjustable,
Feels like a.
spring loaded, clutch and throttle. You've said it already, but no work's getting done.
Oh god.
This is way too nice for us. Help.
Yeah. Here's the wheelbase.
Send help. And smaller.
Oh,
Yeah. Feels like it should.
that's a clutch pedal. Holy shit.
Yeah, it feels nicer than the existing steering wheel and it's not turned on. So nice.
What are you up to now, James?
Unplugging all the existing garbage
Yep.
so we can get rid of it and start mounting all our Fanatec gear onto this. I hope it mounts onto this. We're going to have to get creative.
We've got a master fabricator in our midst, don't forget.
Sandy?
Looks like a VG powered car.
Hey, of course the first car we're trying out is going to be a Z31.
Absolutely.
Go on.
At maybe one of the world's most iconic tracks, Bathurst.
Like a brake. Like a real pedal, yeah.
Nice. Nice.
It's very different. This is so much better than our last one.
Sandy's playing a garbage game. We do have Forza, I promise, but
This is what we have to deal with. You know what? Just quietly, I think it's because he's at Forza. Yeah. Anyway, if you want to see us outdrive him on the sim, tune in for the next couple of weeks because...
Them strong words.
I know. I haven't outdriven him on much yet, but I'm sure my time will come.
All right, we'll see.
See you next week.